Just trying to get a couple of the other platforms together, but so nothing too exciting right now, but we are trying to get a little Facebook and YouTube together. But I was gonna just kind of do uno momento, trying to get everything together. I was gonna do a live YouTube anyways as to how the season's been going. So I tried to get some people together, but didn't quite happen, as you can see. But we are figured I would just talk about how the year's been going and what we got left up here in the North Country. There we go. We're live. Okay. We got everything going on. So I was going to do a YouTube video on how it's been going for everything. So we decided that we would, it's going to do a YouTube video, try to talk to some of my friends and stuff like that, since it's a big time of the year for Minnesota for fishing stuff. And it didn't happen, but we're going anyways. So you fish in Minnesota, August is almost already the end of the year. So right now we are like towards the end of the year. Hasn't been the best of years so far. If any of you watch my YouTube, you can see we had one good one when we fished for 8 fish the other week. And so that went well, but it's crazy how Minnesota has changed. I would say the fishing has changed. Unreal. I feel like an old guy saying that all the time as to how Minnesota has changed. And you can tell just from my how I fished this year, it's been little trying times for sure, and I've had to adjust. We fished quite a few tournaments. I got out last night, 2 on a lake just down the house, and that has changed as well. But quick update. Instead of doing a YouTube video, we're doing this because join in if you want to, but just kind of talking about the year. Fortunately, we fish a Wednesday night tournament every year, and we didn't get in this year for the championship. And so the championship's here a couple of weeks. Across Pokegama, we fished Greenhorn Advanced, and oof, we got our butts kicked. We had the one tournament that you can see that we got them on live scope, and that deep bite in Minnesota is just not the same as it used to be. It is unreal. I feel like I keep saying that over and over again. It's just not there. It's not quite the same. I've tried to make it happen so many times, and it just keeps burning me. And so we're here most of the way through the year, and we're still searching for that kind of thing. I can see up on Whitefish, I was one of the few, I think, looks like Hunter jumped on here. Hunter was one of the other couple of guys that actually got some fish out deep. But that's the tournament format we fish. Every year, it's like I have to adjust. It's crazy that you have to adjust after all this time how you fish, but the fish are changing all the time. And so I was here just talking about my year. One of the things that I would say that's changed so much during the year has been that deep bite starts earlier, and it's definitely not the numbers that it used to be. You know, if anybody watched my Whitefish tournament here however long ago, I was the only one out fishing deep. Like I had upper whitefish, I had middle whitefish, lower whitefish. I don't know what happened to cross because I wasn't over there, but I had all those areas to fish out on the Whitefish chain for the Champs Tour. If you just watched my video last Tuesday, and that's a unique format, but man, you would think that there would be a group of fish somewhere in there that they would be something out deep. And that's been like the biggest struggle, I would say, the last couple of years. Is that's the way that I learned to fish, was trying to find a group out deep, because that's what used to win tournaments. Maybe it still does. Maybe it does with smallmouth, but for me, that deep bite is just not the same anymore from what it used to be. I can tell you on Minnetonka is definitely me, and we fished the Blackfish Classic a couple of weeks ago, actually 3 weeks ago, and the bite out there is, you can just tell the pressure-wise that if I was there 3 weeks before that, fishing was okay. And then more and more as the tournament started getting closer, how tough it got for that deep bite on Minnetonka. And if it's killing a milfoil, if it's zebra mussels, if it's treating the lake, I'm not for sure what it is. But one of the things that I didn't show, I'm not for sure if I'm going to put it on my YouTube, was the Classic. I might just talk about it for a little bit. But that Blackfish Classic, I caught 2 big smallmouth in practice, one on a live scope and one far on the west side of the lake. And that's a lot of stuff. You didn't see that many smallies. I don't think so. Big ones spread out across the lake for a number of years. That's one of the changing things. And I had to think about it before the Blackfish Classic if I was going to look for the last day to see if I was going to go after some smallmouth, because I thought there was some quality smallmouth out there that you could go catch there for that tournament. I thought, catching those 2 quality fish before in practice, like the day before, was a big deal. Like, I really thought about it and decided against it because they were a little bit too much roamers, I thought, for the Blackfish Classic. And we started on a community spot. And luckily, I fished with Kyle Minke. He super good at live scope. We started on a community spot and we caught all of our fish. He caught all of our fish on a live scope. It was a traditional rock spot that's been good for years upon years. And so he's super good at that kind of stuff. And that's how we caught that's how we caught at least a limit super fast, was on the live scope. And then we caught a couple shallow fish that we weighed in. Yeah, two shallow fish that we weighed in that day for the Blackfish Classic. There's 2 shallow fish that we weighed in. They were just 3-pounders, not big Minnetonka ones, not 4-pound averages. So we had those 2 fish. Those came shallow, and you can tell the bite. There's been some people that have been on. You can see the Cunninghams. You can see Schultz. You can see Brantz. Those guys have had it going on for the last couple of years. They've really figured out that Minnetonka bite. There's definitely, I would say, a pretty good shallow bite on Minnetonka nowadays with the way things are. Unless maybe you're going for smallmouth. Like I said, I got those 2 quality ones in practice and we never went for them, and we weighed in another quality one for a tournament before. But that one was a little unfortunate. We spent some time, we gambled. One of the things, they're like, how many docks we fished that day. We fished a whole ton of docks. There's no doubt about that one on the dock thing. We fished a lot of docks for the Minnetonka Classic. And there was some fish on them, and I saw there's some other guys doing it. But we were looking, it was so brutal, we had to do something. I think that was kind of a little bit of what we wanted to do, was go, and there were some fish there a couple days before that, and that's one of those things to kind of separate yourself. It's unreal. Those fish out deep would have are smarter than a fish, on a dock or something. I don't know if that's the fish on the docks or if they're there to feed or what the deal is, but that's kind of the way Minnetonka is going, which that it's crazy that those deep schools, at least what I figured out for the last couple of years, I thought we did pretty good out there on Minnetonka. Those deep bite is really, really tough out there unless you're going for smallmouth, but you can always ask me. Like I said, I got a couple different platforms going on. This was just talking about end of the year for us up in the North Country. This is almost the end of the year for tournament season. So Oktoberfest. So we're getting there. So this is always a huge time of the year. So we didn't do well on the greenhorns, which is kicked some ass last year. It went really well, I thought. And so to not be able to get to the Tournament of Champions is pretty sad. But we didn't fish good enough for us to make it, I don't think. So as sad as I am that we didn't make it there, we didn't fish good this year. And once again, that was trying to commit to that deep bite. I think burned us for most of them, except for the tournament on North South Center, where there was a deep bite and it was just super early on, like right away post spawn. There was a good deep bite out there for that North South Center greenhorn tournament. We just weren't on it. I was a little behind on the times for that one, but that's the way it was going. So we didn't do good there. Bald Eagle's the other one. We tried to stick it out deep. Didn't happen on Bald Eagle. not the best performance. We were a couple spots out. We had that good green performance using the live scope, which I feels like I keep repeating myself over and over and over again about that kind of this year. What a difference it has made for my fishing, especially up on whitefish chain around here for largemouth when I didn't think it was going to play would be this white fishing for using the live scope, how much it has changed doing such things. I started running a 360. I thought that keeps you a little more focused. You can see where the rock veins are and where it comes out. So that electronics part of just being consistent is pretty, you got to do that nowadays. You got to stay up on the electronics unless this trend of the deep white going down and down and down keeps going. It will be like that. Maybe that shallow bite will be, and you won't have to get a live scope and stuff. But for me, that's the way it's been. So we didn't make it for a greenhorns. Pretty bummed about it, but we didn't fish good enough. Champs Tour, we had that good run at the first one where we had that shallow bite going on, and we couldn't keep it up, not consistent enough. One of the things that people don't realize for the Champs Tour, and which I've heard a few times this year, 65 boats in the Champs Tour is a lot of boats. It is a lot of boats, and the majority of the fish are on the bank, and so fishing behind 5 other boats going down the bank is quite a chore for that thing. But it's what I signed up for. It's what us in the Champs Tour signed up for that is that kind of fishing. And I think it's been, there's plenty of places. It's funny how the whitefish chain, 50 boats the next day and you could go anywhere around the lake. Man, there was just not even that same amount of pressure for that Champs Tour Pro-Am. I just couldn't believe it. I got out to our first spot and it was like fishing a completely different tournament that there was absolutely nobody else around. You could kind of pick and choose where you wanted to, where when you take that Champs Tour format, you take 65 boats and all of a sudden you can find them into a little area. And just however many people fish shallow and stuff, man, that just has such a big impact on how you're fishing. It's a very different format than a normal one, even the way that I think like the Blackfish Classic on Minnetonka with 100 boats, how crazy that is. There's way, way, way more room, even on the docks we were fishing on Minnetonka and stuff. We weren't cutting in front of people like the Champs Tour, Big Stone, whitefish chain cutting in front of people, whitefish when we were there for just the Champs Tour portion. It was unreal to see that to squeeze in somewhere, you had about 3 docks, and that's not really how I fish, that the 2-3 docks to cut somebody off. Same with Big Stone, jumping in front of somebody, and that's the format. It's a tough adjustment for me. So that's a little bit of how it's going. We saw Big Stone, we had that good run, then we couldn't get it going the second half. That rainstorm really did stuff. So middle of the pack, a little worse. Then we went to the second Champs Tour. We stuck it out deep once again. It's not like we didn't keep docks on us. It's not like we didn't keep docks on us both days. When it was there for the Champs Tour portion of things, man, when I got on some stretches, there's 3 boats in front of you fishing behind 2 to 3 other boats. And there's some areas where I saw that there was, some people went into one of the lakes and all of a sudden we saw their weights go up. So I knew there was some dockfish going on for that one. So we hung in for that one. As much as that one hurt for how painful it was the second day for the Pro-Am for what we did, for how painful that second Pro-Am was there, it was painful the first day for the Champs Tour for how I was fishing. So when the changing of how I've had to fish, that middle of the pack. So now we're coming back to, I'm probably a little bit out for the Champs Tour for making to the championship. So right now what I'm looking at is I got to be in the top 20 probably for this last event coming up on Lahamadou. Lahamadou, we pre-fished it a couple weeks ago. Lahamadou was pretty good, I thought. So I feel like it fishes towards my style with the weed line fish. There was some fish out deep. There was some fish out shallow. Historically, it's been a better weed line lake. Trying not to pigeonhole myself into fishing out deep for that one and keep the shallows honest. But at 65 boats, in any way that I see that they cut that lake in half or whatever they decide to do for the Champs Tour is going to make it real difficult for that one. So I'm trying to find something out of the ordinary, trying to look for some other things. And my first day of practice starts tomorrow. I get to fish Lahamadu to do as much as I can. I'm going to look out deep and see if it's viable for what it is for next week to see. So I got tomorrow. We're going to try to look deep. We're going to try to see if it's viable. I got tomorrow off. And then I go tomorrow to Lahamadu just because we got, in our area, there's a big tournament on Chisago area lakes. There's only 25 boats that we fished for years upon years. I've been lucky enough to win it once, but we got Frankie's Marine puts on a 2-day tournament, which is also a really tough format to go from one lake to the other, especially after it's been beat on for 2 days. So we've probably finished every spot in that tournament. I'd say first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th million times. So we got that Friday and Saturday. Fishing isn't easy out there, I don't think. Maybe there's somebody on this chat that can tell me something better about how that fishing's going out there. There's been good weights. I saw there's 4-pound averages weighed in a couple of weeks ago still. But it's the weights for that has gone up traditionally over the last however many years for that Frankie's 2-day one. And for sure, when you cut it only down to 4 or 5 fish for a team format, you may only get 4 or 5 fish in a day, and they got to be 4 to 5 pounders. So it's a little bit of a different format when you are thinking you got to find that 4 to 5 pound class fish compared to, because North South Center's got a ton of fish in it, and you can go out there and catch a whole ton of fish. So the update is we got that, and the last, we got the 2 fish. We got 2 days, Friday, Saturday, fishing the Frankies. And then we leave directly from there, the end of August, up North Scene. Seems to be that I'm always leaving from that one to go to somewhere else. At one point, it was New York or Potomac or whatever it was. To go out there for that. So we're going to be doing that. Then we got 2 days of practice out on Lahamadu. So, and once again, going to try to keep it honest. We're going to see how it goes tomorrow out there. Maybe one of you guys are out on Lahamadu, for sure say hi. I'll open it up to any questions. Has anybody got any questions? It looks like my Facebook feed's having a little bit of some problems right now. So Facebook's having a little bit of problems, but is there any questions? Has anybody got any questions out there? Like I said, last time I said I wasn't going to do this myself, but I did not. So I rocked the Bass Heads hat, as you can see. And I had a comment the other day that I had started having problems with my reels. You can see this one's Shimano one. I've been using the Shimano one. As some people said, this is a Stratic. It's taken me a little bit of time. It's a little bit of a heavier reel than what I've been using with Flugers, but it's been fairly decent so far. Appreciate it, everybody commenting on the Bass Heads page. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's a great question. Thanks. Yeah, I don't think it's forward-facing sonar why I attribute to fishing. I think it's really I could see pressure on fish for sure. It doesn't take, any tournament people can see where they're at. And then I think the weed spraying, for sure. Weed spraying has a huge part of what's going on with that deep bite. I mean, you can see fish can see much farther when you take all this foil and other stuff away. I think that's a huge part of why, like places like Minnetonka, Waconia, White Bear, still good fisheries, but man, it's not the same. I mean, you can just think how much smallmouth feed was sight so well that when you start opening up these areas, I think it just makes it better smallmouth lakes, better distribution. And I really think that's what I personally think what it is, why tough fishing, that pressure and just that the weed spraying, because you can significantly tell. I was surprised. I was on a lake just right down the house. I live in White Bear Lake. I was on Bald Eagle yesterday, and I can tell over the last 3 weeks that actually the foil's grown up, and so that changes things. They Forest Lake was traditionally a really not a very good deep water lake, and that kind of stuff muskies really push them around a little bit. So um, great question for sure. It's just pressure, and that is what I think of. I guess I am an old time guy now that I've been doing this for quite a while. Maybe not at a high level, but I can tell that that's what I attribute what's going on here, and maybe that brings it back better for the people fishing up shallow. I think that's a pretty big player. There's certain lakes even just in my area that I think that shallow bite is a little not there, and that it could possibly start to change things. Places like Minnetonka, like Waconia, some of that there's always been a decent shallow water bite. There's always shallow water fish, but you couldn't win doing that shallow water game, and I think that's possibly could be changing, which is a bummer for this guy, because that's not really the way that I've been accustomed to tournament fishing, is to looking for that kind of fish. But so great question. So we have the 2 days Frankie's, so we have the Classic Bass coming up. It's kind of a big deal because we're trying to get into the championship, even though I just got my butt kicked a couple of weeks ago for that Greenhorn Wednesday out on Rush Lake. The Classic Bass championship, the Tournament of Champions, it's going to be brutal, man. It's not easy out there. It's going to be a real interesting game. I don't even know what I'm going to do. I was going to go out there yesterday to look around a little bit because it's still open. And Rush Lake it's always had my number, and it's fishing really, really tough right now. It'll be very interesting to see how that Classic Bass tournament works out. Be interesting to see how that Classic Bass championship for the boat works out, because I don't think Rush Lake traditionally is a numbers kind of lake, especially not that time of year in August. It's fishing pretty tough. It's fishing really tough right now. The weights were pretty good for when we were there. Like the top end day, it was just slightly off from what I thought. So people still had pretty good bags when we were there for that Wednesday night or a couple of weeks ago. I think 17 something pounds won, and it was 15, 14, 16, something like that. So that top end bags were there, but talking about numbers for the Champs Tour, and it's going to be real interesting. I 100% want to make sure that I get there. I think I've made it every year that I've fished it. Maybe not the first year. It's been a couple of years, but want to get there. I want a chance. I feel that I learned some things when we were there for the Wednesday nighter, that I want another shot there. But like I said, I'm on the outside looking in. I'm like in the late 30s probably right now. I think they said they're taking 31 or 32 boats, for that Champs Tour championship for the boat. I want to be there. I'd say I got to be in the top 20 probably to make sure that I'm there. But I don't know what everybody else's experiences are on Rush, but man, for a numbers lake, maybe in June or something like that. But the water is really down out on Rush, and Rush is a pretty good shallow water lake. And so it's going to be real interesting when you change that the way that things are out on, drop all that water out, how many fish are still up shallow for those kinds of things. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to watch that tournament. Hopefully I will be watching from the boat, fishing for that one. It's about 40 minutes from my house here in White Bear, or the place we rent here. Not the fanciest place, as you can see, the place we rent here in White Bear. But it affords me to fish. So I want to get to Rush Lake. So that's what we got. We got practice tomorrow, 2 tournament days. We roll right over to Lahamadou, work our tails off to try to make sure we make the championship. When I was there 2 weeks ago for the first time, probably 15, 20 years or whatever it's been, there was a deep bite. Surprised with the size out on Lahamadou. I think it'll be real interesting to see for the Champs Tour what people bring in. Last one was there in June. This one will be the end of August, I think. I thought there was some quality fish that I caught last time compared to the way it was a long time ago. And so weights could be pretty solid, and it looks like weights were pretty solid. Ooh, yeah, thanks. The winning weight for Lahamnu, I think I watched the YouTube one the other day, and I think Biggie had like 80 to 100 pounds in June. I think you're pushing that too. I think you're pushing for 80 to maybe more than 100 pounds, depending on how the deep bite is. I really think that's going to be the difference maker in Lahamadu, but I think you're going to need some weight. Lahamadu is always fish factory, and there's a lot of fish there in Lahamadu, and you got to put them in the boat. And you 40 fish, 50 fish, 80 to 100 pounds, maybe some more. If it fishes the way that I think that it very well could fish, to do it 2 halves in a row, we'll see with 65 boats how much that pressure is, that people can find 2 good spots like that they can just wrench on them for the whole tournament. But I think it's going to be a lot of weight. It's definitely going to be a lot better than, what is it, gull and whitefish and some of these other ones, 60 pounds, 20, 25 fish, whatever it is. That doesn't seem like a whole ton to me. I mean, it is for me because I've been getting my butt kicked, but that's, traditionally, I think those lakes really are fish factories up there. So Lahamadu, I think, is even more of a fish factory. It's a phenomenal fishery. And for the size to go up from what it has been, when you get into that 4-pound class, which is what I saw multiple 4-pounders when I was there in practice like a week or 2 ago. And that those kind of fish were like unicorns a long time ago. And you had this whole mass of stuff. So I think it's going to take some weight. I think it's going to be 100. I think really do. We'll see how tomorrow goes when I'm out there. I fished 2 lakes, whatever, the other day. I'm going to go to 2 other ones, I think. I don't know what I've saw what the off limits is for the Chance Tour yet, because there is a number of lakes. There's Victoria and Jesse you can get into, which are dirtier water lakes. Just you're losing running time. I think we're launching out of Darling. And so to run all the way down there and come back, which is also a part of the format that you only have 4 hours to fish. So 4 hours, more pressure. That's that pressure. Yeah, that's a good question for the Frankie's tournament. For what I guess I'm speaking for my buddy Kyle. He's really the captain. I've been out there for a really long time. The pressure, you can understandably, I would say even back years and years and years ago, those deep spots out on our area lakes, North South Center, Green Lake, Chisago Lake, those were traditionally, there's only a few people that had those areas and knew them. Back in the day, there's Shane Schlipp fishes now. His dad left a note on my truck a long time ago, giving me grief about the places I was fishing and stuff like that. And that's fine. That's the way it was back in those days, 15, 20 years ago, that there was so few people fishing those areas. So it was untapped, a bunch of those deep water spots. And I understand that. I look at that all the time today too and wonder about, how that thing is, and pressure and people learning stuff a lot more. The sneakiest of the sneakiest little things out on those lakes get taken advantage of now, for sure. And so that pressure is, you have to always be watching more, thinking people more and spending more time graphing and more time finding little sneaky stuff, because there is a lot of little sneaky stuff out on places like Green, North South Center, Chisago. A lot of times that they're not 100% always good. There's plenty of little rock piles and other things that I can say that I have on North South Center, Green Lake, Chisago Lake, that they just don't hold fish. But I still check them because they have the right ingredients. A rock strip out in the middle of a flat. I got a spot on South Center like that I've maybe caught 1 bass ever. And it isn't that far different than another little place down the road. So that pressure, and I think we're going all in doing a certain thing. I'm pretty sure if you'd, so that fishing, I think we're going to try to, I guess that's a good question. I think we're really, we saw how it's been going the last number of years. Sean and Alan have had a lockdown for that tournament for 4 or 5 years now. There's a certain way of fishing. Very possible that that's what we're going to do. And they're very good at it. You're talking about 25 people that grew up in that area. And those guys, they've done really, really good to win for 2 days in a row against that kind of competition for people that know all those spots. And so I think this might be the year that we change it up slightly from what we had to maybe gamble a little bit for a win. I think that's me and Kyle still got to talk. He spent the last couple nights pre-fishing, and I think that's very possibly what we are going to do, at least right now, for what the game plan is. We're going to have to talk about it tomorrow night, but I think we are possibly, I'm not as much of a gambler when they say that about doing the gamble. I go a lot more, me and Randy Blockett would be more on the sensing how fish are going. When you see fog, when you look out how the morning's going and you're like, this isn't going to work, and then it doesn't work, you start spinning your wheels trying to do other stuff and trying to find other things. So that's how I fish. The way that it's been going out there is, I think it's less and less of that, and it's more about the spots you're fishing and how you're fishing them and what you can do to catch the biggest ones, because stuff does change out there a little bit. I can tell you that we change how we fish out there quite a bit. We've been very fortunate. And how do we tackle a lake like Green Lake? Because a lake like Green Lake absolutely was like the epitome of lakes that I did not want to fish, because there is not a ton of giant fish spots out on that lake. And so I can remember years ago somebody being like, where would you rate this in the state for, best bass lakes? And I was like, best bass lake? I don't know, top 1,000, just because there's only a limited number of spots that I think that you can win a tournament from. And it's just a very, very small, minute things that spot on a spot why those fish are biting. And so I think we're going to try to hone in more on that. It's a great question. We're going to try to hone in as much as we can do on what that's doing on, because, and like I said before, Kyle's fantastic with his live scope, and we may be relying on that a little bit more than what we have before in the past, because the dude is an absolute machine with that thing. He's completely figured it out. If you haven't noticed, for things, if you only fish bass fishing, the dude's tore up walleye fishing too whenever it comes down to that kind of stuff. The people that he runs with, phenomenal with that kind of stuff. And so that's the way that I do it. I think that we're going to change things for what's going on right now, that we're going to, for those kind of area lakes, that we're going to stick to a different game plan. We're going to gamble a little bit more this year just for those two particular lakes. So we're going to go, you got to catch 4-pounders, 4 to 5 pounders out there if you're going to fish those lakes, especially for 2 days against this kind of competition. And I think we're going to have to change it up a little bit. And I grew up during the time of bass fishing where you're, KVD and all those guys was burn and turn man. And so I think we're going to have to try to take a chill pill a little bit more this year and, milk out our spots for everything we can to hopefully get a chance, because for the Frankie's tournament, for those people that 100% aren't involved with it, it's a 4-fish limit. They have a 4-fish limit there now, so you can bring fish up the second day. And 4 fish, you need 4 to 5 pounds. When we won 11 years ago, 12 years ago now, I think we had just under a 4-pound average in the last however many years that Alan and Sean have won, and some other people, you're in the 4.5 to 5 pound average. That's for 4 fish. That's freaking giant. And so I think the writing's on the wall that you better go out there and catch them. You better go and catch big ones. And so that's how I'm going to change. It's a great question. Great question. Possibly some of my competition's listening to that, but I'm not trying to be, maybe I can talk about it if we have another YouTube live or something like that, a little bit more about how it goes. I think we'll be filming again, so you'll probably be able to see on YouTube how it was. But you can see last year we sat on one spot for like 5 hours. We caught one 5-pounder. So I got a feeling that there may be some more of that. So great question. Open it up for any more questions that people have. I love the engagement. That's why I did it this way instead of just going to putting out a video on YouTube, to hear back from people what they had to say. Because, like I said, we tried to get a couple other people. It didn't quite work out at this time. You know, it's good to. I think we got some fantastic fishermen in this area, and that's kind of why we had the first couples to kind of highlight some of those guys that don't always get an opportunity. But any more questions? You know, so we got the Champs Tour coming out. We got Frankie's 2-day, trying our butts off to try to get to Rush Lake to make it happen. We're hanging in there. We've hung in there the last couple. I usually get about a chance for about one good finish a year. Hopefully we didn't spoil that on the Pro-Am. Trying to make sure that it's going to be Lahamadou. Feel like that it's going to fish my style. Last year you didn't see before a tournament before this week, always Minnesota. It always happens that way. I fell in my trailer and I cracked some ribs and stuff. So it definitely made this week long stretch pretty tough. So this year, feeling decently healthy, other than, you know, going to be getting up early and getting out there. And it's going to be some long days, but that's what we sign up for. So, we're trying some different reels if you saw on the Bass Heads page. So I've been trying the Daiwas, I've been trying the Shimano's. We used to get a deal through Pflueger, and that deal's expired, and so we're trying some other stuff. But at $30 a pop, ooh, yeah, great question. At $30 a pop for the handles, I just couldn't do it anymore. Yo, what up, Hunter? You're still on there? That's the guy to ask right there. I'm sure he's gonna crack him. I'm sure he's gonna catch 100 pounds. What do you think it's going to be, man? You're the hammer here. You're right there in the Angler of the Year standings. What do you think it's going to be on? Appreciate it, Jeremiah. You're doing a hell of a work up there, man. It looks awesome being up by Mille Lacs. Carson, I have not been on coon this year. I keep hearing about these really, really bad reports and about fish kills and stuff. I don't know. It's a little bit, woof. Hunter says 85 pounds, so you're a little bit lighter than what I thought. But we'll probably see you out there in a minute. We'll see you out there in a minute. So good luck to this weekend. But going back, Carson's out in Tennessee now, I think. Got out to college. So Coon Lake, it's always been a struggle. I know there's been some times in the past where it's been a tough fishery. I've really heard from everybody around here that's just fishing really bad, and they say possible winter kill. And if you've been on, anybody that doesn't know Coon Lake, you have this giant half that's shallow, and then east half is deep water. I'm sure there's good amount of. All right, well that's a bummer, but Carson said fishing's a little tough there, but I'm sure he'll figure it out, man. It's different. Fishing down south is a total different game than what it is down here, up here, for sure. I had, when we fish the Toyota series, it's amazing how much the fish can change from day to day, especially when you're there this time of year compared to in the spring when you got a bunch of fish up. But yeah, so that's what I heard. I heard it was a fish kill. There's a lot of big fish that were in the lake for the last however many years, for quite a while. So there's a possibility that stuff happened. But yeah, that Southern Patterns is so crazy when you go out down south to go, and like you said, he's I think Tennessee. You have to correct me on that one, but it's tough. It was funny when we fished the Toyota series out on Kentucky Lake after hearing about how great it was. We were there when the first big year when that carp explosion was, and I thought the fishing was absolutely brutal when we were there. There was a fight between, Tennessee. So there was a fight between Randy Haynes and Jason Lambert. That was like a week before that when we were there. And I remember the first day of the tournament, there was like 3 or 4 boats just sitting on that spot. People that good fishermen. And I was like, that's the best you got is to, try to get the scraps of these people from a week ago. That's how bad the fishing was. But that's down south. That's why we live in a great state up here in Minnesota. So it's very difficult. It's hats off to the people, the fighters, the Felixes, Jim Moina, uh, Minky, Shuda for the last, for competing down south after growing up out here. Oh, okay. So Carson said he gets good once the lake drops. So Cherokee Lake, I think, right? Cherokee Lake. But so yeah, it's such different fishing. I think live scope for sure getting good for that kind of stuff. From what I've heard from, people that I run with that go down there is a huge part of the deal down there. But so that was kind of where I'm at. I love the participation. It's great, man. Nobody wants to listen to me talk all the time. Like I said, next time we're trying to get some of these other guys on here, but who knows? I think Hunter's been on a couple times. Dude's a freaking hammer. I had his dad up on Whitefish. Awesome guy. He's talking about not to, maybe there's a thing called YouTube Live. Maybe if Hunter was interested before Rush Lake or something, we could always do a YouTube Live or something if he's part of YouTube. Because dude's actually been tearing it up. Not that we ever talk, it makes it sound like we've talked before, but not really. But just from afar, the dude's been doing awesome. So can definitely do some more YouTubes like this because it's always interesting. I like showcasing their talent around here. Not everybody does. So we're working on it. But love the participation. Just me talking. Some great sticks on here. We're always try for more like that. So that's what we got for the end of the year. Not trying to wrap it up. If everybody's got more questions, for sure. I'm here. I'm getting stuff together, taking a shower because we're getting up at 3 a.m. for Lahamadou. Hopefully figure some things out. Maybe we'll see Hunter out there tomorrow. Maybe he's up in Brainerd still. But we will, if you have more questions, for sure, I'm here. Besides where we're fishing on Green or North South Center, we're good for everything besides that. But so we got a pretty good 4, 5, 6 day stretch here. A lot of fishing, keeping the positive attitude. We're fishing with Kyle once again for North South Center and Green, and he's been out the last couple of days, and I think fishing is a little stingy in our area, but you only need 4 big ones. So huge run. Those of you that watched my YouTube on the Pro-Am, you have no idea how big of a pain it was, how much time. That's why I put the time zone there. It's tough after a tournament like that where it was like we could have sat on those smallmouth for hours and maybe got a couple more of those smallmouth, and that's those decisions. And that I know there was more smallmouth down there, and maybe that was a bad decision, but every fish we were catching was quality. We went back there later in the day, and there's live scope. There's had to be like 50 walleyes on that spot, 50 walleyes. And that one that came up and hit the jerk bait after that happened, I was like, I can't just sit there anymore and keep fishing for them because there's so many of them down there. I know there's some more smallmouth there, but that's the decisions we make, and we ran as many docks as we could. After that, we went to that Pro-Am format and people could fish anywhere. The docks had opened up. There obviously wasn't too many left down there, but we ran probably. Oh, sorry, Jeremiah. That's Kyle Minky. Shuda, I believe him and Chris are fishing. I got to talk to him. I haven't got a chance to talk to the dude. Nope. Shuda fishes with Amiot. And I'm sure, those guys are straight hammers out there. I haven't heard from him in a minute, Called him the other day, and he's a busy dude. So, nope, it's him and Amiot. Those guys fish perfect together. They're team cranking, burning and turning. So, yeah, it's Kyle Shuda, Chris Amiot are fishing together again. And those guys, we got a bunch of wins, a buck and seconds and thirds. They're super good, as Jeremiah out there. And so me and Kyle Minky, we fished together for the last little bit. We do fish that private lake tournament that I haven't heard about. Hopefully me and Kyle Shuda will be fishing that one again. We won and been second or third a few times. So we'll see. I haven't heard any update. It's usually in September. It's going to be interesting if the lake's down on that lake, how that would fish out there. But so that's what we got. Fishing, keeping a positive attitude. Appreciate the responses. Hopefully still trying to get something bigger together to get a bunch of people together. That'd be pretty cool. I like the one that we did last time. There was a lot of good stuff. It's good to try to get some stuff out of people, get some knowing, you see a bunch of people, you don't always get to talk to them. So it's always good to have a different format. But that's kind of what we got going on, man. We'll give her a couple minutes, see if anybody's got any more questions. But like I said, I love the engagement, man. That's, what the heck, Jeremiah is telling me the guy's freaking hammer. I mean, how many 5-pounders you got this year? Probably like 100, So that's kind of why I like the engagement for this kind of thing instead of just putting up a YouTube video and just, here you go, That's why. So you guys got any more questions? But yeah, so we just been fishing with some other trying out a bunch of different spinning reels. So like I was saying, spinning reels kind of went down. So we're working on it. It's just funny, different brands. When you've been using something like Pflueger for so long, you're kind of used to the consistency that they have. And now trying these other brands, it's been kind of, ooh, okay. Sounds like somebody's been out there. Okay, and that would make sense. It's a couple years ago it was low too, and I think they dug it out. They dug a new channel out there, so we'll see. But be real tough for a dozen boats that they put out there that they would gets a little tough there, but usually it's a big tournament, at least for people around here, kind of, for us in the know. But they have Team Rapala. We fished against Seth Spider the one year on the little private lake. Bob Downey. They tried to get Jacob Wheeler the last couple of years. If you don't know, they film a bunch out of a little private lake down the road from where I'm at here. Wired to Fish, and Rapala puts a lot of time out on this little lake, and then they have a tournament in September, and there's been the Rapala team has been there. Here we go. So those of you not watching, my boy down here, Schneider says September 16th, big bass, big stage, big dreams. So he is the tournament master of the whole thing. Love it. Schneider, heard you've been creeping around on Green Lake. Hopefully hammered on some, but Jeremiah said that right now you can't get over to the other side of the lake. Are you guys going to dredge it out beforehand or what? Sorry, I'm looking down at the YouTube stream, but our guy that puts it on, that's got the connection of Scott out there for the private lake tournament. What's he say? The 16th Kiss My Bass tournament. That me and Kyle shoot a fish together, and Minky does it separately and stuff. That's a little ways out yet, but that would make it. I know last year, 2 years ago, they dredged it out. There was one channel that was there, and then they dredged the second channel this way to get into the other lake. But you can only fish the one. Here you go. So, yep, she did. Yep. Pretty sad deal. I know that they had a memorial and stuff for that. Yep, that's Scott, the one that lets everybody on. Yeah. I know she'd been battling with stuff for a while there, so I think it was the first part of July that they put something. I guess that's being a little personal, but yep, you're 100% on right, Jeremiah. Yeah, unfortunate because Scott's a really good guy that lets everybody get on out there. It's been super nice to me. They put on a couple tournaments. They put on a nice fishing tournament. They put on that one. Super nice dude. He's been there for a while, but yeah, for sure. And then Schneider said that it's in works that they're dredging the channel on the north side is in the works. So there's a first-hand information that they're gonna try to dredge another little channel again to get over there. Hopefully that's not something that's supposed to be said for DNR or whoever, but yeah, they're gonna try to dredge another channel over there. So cool lake. It's like there's not too many like it, you know, in Minnesota that you got to have those private lakes where you have trees and all that stuff that are that fantastic, you know. You can see Fighter and Zona had that live show out there a long time ago too. So it's a pretty unique lake. There's some big ones. It's pretty cool. So, yeah. So yeah, me and Kyle have fished the last three. Me and Kyle shoot have fished there the last 3, 4, 5 years. So sounds like I got to talk to him about September 16th to see if we're going to be going again. But that one's always a fun one. It's always fun against. It's been a long time since I fished against Fighter, and that was a couple of years ago. To watch him sit there and throw the hair jig on one spot for 4 or 5 hours. Oh, okay. So yeah, there is a fair number of houses, maybe like 8 to 12 houses out there, and that's cool. They live out there. Oh, I think I know which one you're talking about. The one with the super steep access. It's got to be on the same side of the lake. It's okay. So yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a good inn to have. Okay, so they got a really steep access to get into there. So what we're talking about is just like a private lake over and just not too far from here in White Bear Township. Private lake, 100%. It's got bigs. They film some shows out there, like I was saying. They got Zona and all those guys go out there. I know what access you're, you know, the ramp you're talking about. I just thought everybody goes out of Scout's Place usually most of the time that I know of, at least. But that's cool. Yeah, that's a very, very unique, cool lake to have, especially in the metro area. I know there's a few of them towards like Clearwater and stuff. I know there's another lake or two out that way that's kind of like the same thing with those trees and stuff like that. But so yeah. So I guess to talk towards the end of the year, it's very possible we'll be fishing another private lake tournament out there again. So that'd be pretty sweet. For sure. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, um so yeah, that's awesome. I love the responses, man. It's great. Good times out here. It's good connecting with everybody. So me rambling on, one man show tonight. Yeah, you're 100% right on that one, Jeremiah. That the place is pretty awesome. We got Schneidler here. Can sit there and throw out topwaters all day and catch giants. Don't tell anybody. But if you ever know, if anybody's ever watched my YouTube videos of that one, you can see how great the topwater bite is out there. It's a tough thing to come by, especially towards the metro area. So yeah, place is super unique, very cool. So yeah, so we got that going on. I love it. You guys got great responses here. I love it. I love hearing from everybody. That's great. Like I said, that's why I do this. Carson asked about Okoboji, the fire lake right now. I have not. One of my best friends that I've always fished tournaments with, Rick, he's from Blue Earth. When we were done with college, we went down there because he's from down by Iowa. We went there in the summertime and it was an absolute zoo, like Minnetonka style, down on Okoboji. Down there, I know our hardest problem down there was that they had buoys so far that you can for no wake zone. And so there'd be these buoys and people would run between you and the buoys all around the whole Lake Okoboji. So, didn't matter how close you got to the buoys, that was their line to go around the lake. But I went there when there wasn't all these giants that they are catching right now. We went there in Now it's been a long time to date myself. Like 20 years ago, we went down there in like July. Rick's brother and some other people from where his hometown, they'd go there every week and walleye fish, and they used to catch big smallmouth at night too. But we went down there and fishing for numbers wise, just like the way that Lahamadou is now. The numbers wise was pretty ridiculous. I don't remember catching like big fish. I remember even the tournament weights back there 15, 20 years on Okoboji. I don't remember the tournament weights. Maybe somebody could fill in a little bit better that tournament weights were not as what they are now. And now these 6, 7, 8 pounders and stuff like that. That's freaking ridiculous, especially for here in the Midwest. Okoboji really isn't that far from us in the metro area. That's not so bad to get down there. So to have a place that's got those big fish like that, at least right now, that's pretty crazy. I'd love to give it another chance. Maybe not in the summer. That springtime bite sounds pretty good when that boat traffic and that stuff isn't so bad down there. You get used to it on Minnetonka being there with the boat traffic. But I would love to get back down there in the spring. That's it's obviously the new Big Stone right now, the place to be if you're going. It'd be cool to go try it. So I've been there just in July, and it was a long time ago, and it's just fishing weed lines, and we caught just unreal amount of fish, just out fishing out deep out there on the weed lines and stuff. We had a heck of a time. It was like an absolute blast. But in the spring, I've never gotten a chance to get out there. Tournament fishing and work and stuff only get so much. It seems like I end up going to the same places every year. I just get a little less time to do that cool stuff. But I'd love to get down there. That'd be sweet. That'd be Okoboji's like a fish factory. If you're a person that fishes more than bass, like I said, they went down there walleye fishing. The bluegills are big. The crappies are big. It's a fish factory all around, not just bass and stuff. So definitely good lake. Not that there's a whole ton of big lakes in Iowa, but to have one that big around there is pretty crazy. So that's kind of like what's happened so far for the year. And like I said, we got a big stretch of 4 or 5 days going on here for the next little bit. It's going to be interesting. Schneider's still on here. We didn't make the championship, so good luck to him. Good frogging water for top waters and whatnot up there, so that'll be sweet. And it's her first year not making that one, so that's a bummer, but oh well. You got to be able to catch them. So unless anybody's got any other questions, I was just going to kind of wrap it up and start getting ready for the morning. We'll give it a couple more minutes, but I love the questions, I mean, heck yeah. So late in the year, Oktoberfest is out. So yeah, we've been trying this Shimano. It's Stratic. We got a couple of those and stuff. It's a little heavier of a reel. We've been trying a couple of Daiwas. Thanks to the Bass Heads page people for helping me out. That's super cool for everyone to do that. So we've got a couple of Daiwas that we've been trying out. So we kind of been switching between the other one, seeing what we like best. But after using the Flugers for so long, it's a change in everything. So last call for alcohol. Last call by anybody. You got anything? Looks like her Facebook feed didn't do the best. Last call. What do we got? Anybody out there still? Is there anybody out there still? So yeah, super excited for the next couple of weeks. This is what we fish for all year. We got the championship. We got the chance for the boat. We got a couple other things going on. So appreciate everybody coming out and asking questions and stuff. That was super cool. So thanks for joining in. Thanks for being a part of everything. Thanks for supporting that, dude. You have no idea what that means. So that's kind of why I like to do these things now and then. I'm no fancy person to give out, reels and stuff like that. So appreciate the good topic. So I think we're going to wrap her up for the night. We got a long couple days. Appreciate everybody joining in that did. That's super cool. And we'll see some of you out on the water. Good luck for the next little bit. For those of you that tried on Facebook, it looked like it didn't work out so well. But thanks for joining in, and we'll catch you out on the water, everyone. See ya.